massacre at Sharpeville, how we move forward, and other human rights abuses, which Al-Jamah so rightly points out regarding what we ought to be and how we ought to be moving forward regarding human rights and violations.
No, absolutely, Auntie Julie. You know, the reality that we're sitting with is, and so rightfully, that many want the day to be noted as Sharpeville Day. And yesterday, Al-Jamah commemorated the day. We salute the 69 protesters killed and basically 200 injured in 2 minutes in protesting against the past apartheid laws. We cannot forget the heroines, the heroes, and the martyrs of the relevant dates and the atrocities that were suffered. And sadly, we cannot forget that around the world and right here in South Africa, we continue to see the violation of human rights. We cannot forget that it's more than 27 years, and there's so much atrocities and so much that has not yet been resolved in our own country. Yesterday, we could not but remember the loss of life on the Cape Flats, the fear of children and adults as they are deprived and held hostage by gangsters. We have to remember this. We have to be mindful of the poverty and the restriction of movement of our people in South Africa, the basic service delivery, which impacts on the human rights of all in our country. And yesterday, specifically yesterday, we commemorated the day in District 6. And how can we not but think about the forced evictions and removals of our people in District 6 in the 1970s? Yesterday, it was such a beautiful day, standing on the plains of District 6. And we had 2 minutes of silence with the recital of the Arabic Hadat, a revolutionary song brought to Cape Town by Sheikh Yusuf to help the end of colonialism in South Africa. We remember that Sheikh Yusuf got an award by Oliver Tambo as a national hero. We also have the salawat recited. You remember the beautiful salawat that was recited when Nabi Muhammad fled Makkah to Medina, and the salawat echoed in Medina at that time. And we were just thinking and reminiscing, indeed, inshallah, with the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the return of our people to District 6, that the same salawat should echo through District 6. The highlight also of the event was a launch of the book on the struggle of District 6 for the restitution and the intention to have District 6 declared as a heritage site. So this all happened yesterday, and today, inshallah, we will be having the launch and preparation for the Deputy President, Mabuza, and the Inter-Ministerial Committee members who will be attending the event from early this morning, and they will be visiting the plains of District 6. Yesterday as well, we had the guest speaker, MPL Muhammad Khalid Said of the ANC, and he also stated that the ANC will throw its weight behind a civil society forum, because right here in the Western Cape, we are having a situation, and we are very alert to this situation by the opposition, where the aim is to declare the Western Cape an independent country. So the internal bond between the ANC and Al-Jamah was strengthened yesterday as well, so that we prevent apartheid from coming again into South Africa. We cannot afford for more human rights violations to be happening, Auntie Julia, and we need to be alert to the forces that are around us that is continuously putting our people into slums and creating situations where our people continue to live in fear in slum areas.
Okay, so on this Human Rights Day, one of the other calls that the Al-Jamah party has made is for personal safety of our women and children and the vulnerable, obviously. And we know it is shocking what is playing out on the Cape Flats. In fact, inshallah, we'll try and cover that gang violence story on our show maybe tomorrow or in the coming days. What on earth is going on there? And how is it that a party such as Al-Jamah can put out a call? What is it that you're going to be doing to try and work together with civic organizations to try and bring safety back into into the townships and onto our streets?
Awareness is one of the huge problems, but also visibility is very, very important. Also, one of the things that Al-Jamah is looking at is the smart villages, the smart areas. So, creating a situation where you clean up the relevant areas and also create the job opportunities. We need to ensure that we have the relevant law enforcement and structures inside these areas to keep a safety network in the relevant areas. Visibility, Auntie Julie, is very, very important, and to clean up the relevant areas and also to be there to assist with protection of our women and children. At this stage, if you're looking at areas on the Cape Flats, for these bullets to be flying around for innocent individuals, and the fears on the Cape Flats is that this situation is not just happening in the darkness of the evening. The atrocities are happening in broad daylight. And sadly, you have people who fear going into these areas, which makes it even more difficult. Our law enforcement needs, there is an increase on the law enforcement, but the thing is, the poverty and the unemployment still remains a huge problem. We need to clear the area of the gangsters, the drugs, the opportunities for these individuals should be throttled. These opportunities should no longer be in these areas. We've been suffering and it has increased over the years. Even our justice system is failing us at this point. And it is sad to witness when you go into the court that these criminals are walking in by the one door and out by the other door. So these are all situations that we have to be looking at from the justice system, from the area, from the investigation. There needs to be accountability and transparency. And we as citizens, as community, we cannot rely on government holistically to do everything of us. As communities, we are needing to come together. Even as opposition parties, we need to work together, because in politics, as political parties continue to hammer each other, we are failing our people. And I think we need to be cognizant about that factor.
Very well expressed. My final question to you is, how do we move forward? As you've indicated, government can't do it on its own. One political party, like perhaps Al-Jamah, is not able to deliver entirely on their own. What do we need to do, and how do we come together to fight this scourge in our communities, but at the same time also create jobs? Because once our youth are gainfully employed, we will, inshallah, see these situations disappearing off our streets.
Julie, we need to create one, as I noted before, we need to create a visibility, right? Which means we need to start going into these areas, create the visibility. We need to start working alongside the law enforcement and the relevant departments. We need to understand the community that we are dealing with. So communications and networks is very important. It's not that it hasn't started yet. It has started. Also a matter of noting to individuals, political parties like Al-Jamah, and there are others, we are available to work together in the interest of our communities. So we need to be out there and work together. People need to see us visibly operating together for the interest of the people. When it comes to employment, I implore on businesses and companies to create that opportunities for the youth and go out there. We also need to go out into the areas and create opportunities where, you have a company or you have a small business where we provide these skills, or we allow the youth to work in these relevant areas, whether it be as an electrician, whether it be as a plumber. The artisan positions is available. We need to increase these job opportunities in these areas. Doctors, lawyers, all those type of things. it's a flooded market, and many are not even getting job opportunities. But we are losing the most important skills. And even in our elderly who have these fantastic skills, I implore upon them to carry those skills across to our youth. We all have a job to do. And it starts off with each and every one of us. Not to be sitting back on the sidelines, but to be going out there and creating those opportunities. And for the youth, not to just sit, but to grasp those opportunities.
Inshallah. Advocate Shameemah Salie from the Al-Jamah party talking to us about what Human Rights Day mean, our responsibility as citizens. We need to collectively come together and start making it happen. Let's not rely on government. Let's hold hands and start making a positive change on human rights and the country as a whole. Wonderful talking to you. Go well, and assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam. Shukran very much to you, Auntie Julie, and to the listeners. Stay safe, inshallah. And Ramadan Kareem to all of you, inshallah. Ameen.
Thumma Ameen. 8:48 News and Views on Salam Media.